Okay, question 43 for Practice Provincial B. When completely factored, how many factors does the following have? So our trinomial in question is 2x to the 4 minus 24x squared minus 128. We want to know how many factors will this have. Alright, well, first thing we can do is let's start factoring it. Even though it's only asking us for how many factors, we still need to factor the whole trinomial to figure out how many factors it actually has. So first we can do is notice that the 2, the 24, and the 128 are all even numbers, so we can factor a 2 out. This will leave us with the following inside the brackets. Okay. Now this is a trinomial, which we can factor, because we just look for two numbers that will multiply to negative 64 and add to negative 12. So two numbers in question, well, let's list the factors of 64. So first one's 1 and 64, well, 1 and negative 64, 2 and negative 32, 3 won't go into it, 4 will, 4 and negative 16, oh, here we go. 4 and negative 16 will add to negative 12, so that will be our numbers. 4 and negative 16, 4 and negative 16. So now we can write that trinomial as a factor, or factor it'll be x squared plus 4. Now the reason it's x squared is because in our original trinomial we have x to the 4, and if we factor this we just half it, but normally when we factor a trinomial, let's write it down over here. Normally a trinomial is written as, the ones we factor like this at least, are written like this, plus some number, we'll call it c. And when we factor it, it becomes x plus some number, we'll call it a, and x plus some number b. So here, because this is x to the 4, well, x to the 4 is really just x squared squared. So when we factor x to the 4, we get x squared. And this second factor will be x squared minus 16. Alright, we can continue to factor this because this is a difference of squares. And the difference of squares factors very easily. It becomes x minus 4 and x plus 4. There we go. And this is the factored form of this trinomial. And we don't know how many are there, so let's count them. There is, I'll count them in a different color. So we have one factor there, this is one factor, this is one factor, and this is one factor. So altogether we have 4 factors. And let's take a look. 43C, 4 factors. Now, a sort of a shortcut for a question like this, I don't think it's discussed in Math 10 actually, but your teachers might have shown you, is generally speaking, the highest power of x, so this is this number, is going to tell us the number of factors. And it works for most things. Okay. So if I look at the highest power of x, that'll tell me how many roots or how many factors my my equation will have. Since we have an x to the 4th, we're going to end up having 4 roots. And if you think about it, this really kind of makes sense, because going back to our example of a generic trinomial of power 2, we always had 2 factors. Okay. So this works well for polynomials of degree greater than 2, or sorry, 2 or greater. Okay, so that's a sort of a shortcut, and it works for most trinomials. Actually, it works for all polynomials. Okay. But if you don't know that shortcut, then you'll have to do this whole large method here, which works too.